God bless. Thanks for tuning in once again to our New Life podcast. If you're watching us, it's good to be back. If you're listening to us, also good to be back. And we got some really good information we finally got out of the creative leadership, and we're getting into session number 5, building a team.
Yes,
How's
sir.
it going, Pastor Kerry? Doing
I'm
good?
Yes, sir. How about yourself?
Doing good, man. Doing good.
Doing real good. Yes, sir.
We had some really good services yesterday. Kind of gave us not yesterday, but Sunday. Kind of gave us a pre-trial run for Resurrection Sunday.
Yeah, it was a great service. Yes, Sunday. I know specifically in the English service, it was awesome.
Yeah, it was good. We're talking about building a team, and if you want to follow along, once again, you can get on our webpage, and that is Pastor Kerry.
mnvlubbock.org.
Okay, and you can once you get on that page there, you'll see this guidebook there. It looks just like this, and so once you click on it, you'll be able to download it or print it, whatever you want to do. I'm still old-fashioned, so I print everything. Pastor Kerry is modern; he downloads everything. If I get up there and try to teach off of that thing, man, I just get lost, bro. But anyway, it's okay. Building a team.
Yes, sir.
I use Ecclesiastes 4:12 that says, "No, though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves, and a cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken."
That's so good, man. That's
So
good.
yeah. Now there's 3 things here right off the bat that I share: teachable, loyal, committed. But also, I'm starting to understand, Pastor Kerry, that it's good. It's good if you're just starting a ministry, or if you're a young minister, whatever, and you can apply these and get these and understand these. They're very good, very valuable. That's what we're teaching them. But sometimes I think we don't realize how valuable these are until we mature, until we've hit a brick wall.
Right.
I talked to Pastor Furman yesterday. He was in Miami yesterday.
Suffering in Miami,
Man. He's cold-blooded too, man. He said, well, Debbie's got to go back to a conference to work, so I'm going to go check the city out. I was like, God, that's cold-blooded, man. But anyway, that's okay. He deserves it, man. He works hard.
He does indeed.
But one of the things he shared with me, he went to go visit a friend of ours at his church, and it's growing. He's gone through some trials. He's gone through some stuff, unintentionally, not on his part, but trials in life came. I think he had a death in his family, his son, things like that. Just really, knocked the wind out of him spiritually. But the church is going good. It's increasing again. It's on the rise again, and he's doing good. But I say that to say all this. We've known this pastor for many years in Miami. He spoke with me years ago and asked me some questions as to why I was still serving under pastor and as a youth, as an associate pastor, and did I ever feel the call to pastor my own church, things like that. And I just shared with him my commitment, my loyalty, things like that, and how I believed God would call me. And he was amazed. He was just floored. Recently, late last year, he asked for some books that I wrote, and I sent it to him, and he used it for his leadership, and he said it really helped him a lot in his leadership. But he said these words. He said, he told Pastor Furman, he said, I still can remember the talks we had, and I'll be honest with you, I don't think I could have done that. I don't think I could have done that. Some of the things he shared about being loyal and committed and things, I couldn't have done that back then, and there's no way I could understand the concept. Now though, I understand the concept and I understand the blessing of it. So
Yes, sir.
I think it's part of maturity too, because the first one, of course, is really easy. I think people should get this. But again, it comes with maturity too. Team players have to be teachable.
Yeah.
Okay? They demonstrate a consistent attitude of humility, good work ethic. They willfully submit to leadership, and they don't have this know-it-all attitude. And, as a young preacher, I'm telling you my experience as a young preacher, you have 1 or 2 awesome preachings where you get a standing ovation, and it can go straight right here, bro. And all of a sudden, like now all the ins and outs of ministry,
Right.
just because you got 1 or 2 of those. And
Right.
and you got to remember, it's just like golf. Once you drive, that's just 10% of the game, bro. Then you got to get to putting,
Right.
and that's where people will go 2 or 3, 4, 5.
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, exactly. You know, I used to get excited because I used to sometimes be the youngest guy out there golfing with some of these guys, and I would knock the ball. Sometimes on a par 4, I could get on the green
Yeah.
on a par
It's
4,
impressive.
roll up there, and of course I'm like, okay, yeah, you know, whatever.
For those
you
who
know.
don't understand what that means in one shot from the tee box, he could put it on the green to putt. That's impressive.
But then I'd put about 5 or 6 times.
Happy Gilmore.
Yeah, so that's how it is.
Before
in
Adam
ministry.
Sandler, there was Chris Lopez.
So, and that's how it is in ministry. Sometimes is we have these moments, and we got to be teachable.
Yeah, I believe being teachable is important to building a team. You want team players who are teachable.
Yeah.
You know, I have the GOAT, Michael Jordan, here with us today. And,
right.
you know, Michael Jordan was once interviewed, and he was like, they were like, you know, there's no I in team, right? And he's like, right, but there's an M and a me. Me. And of course, the reporter was like, well, yeah, but
Yeah, you're right.
we've said this before in the previous weeks. MJ came to the points where he had to be teachable.
Yeah.
You know, one of the things you have here is they willfully submit to leadership.
Yeah.
He was willing to humble himself and submit to Phil Jackson. He understood that Phil was the coach,
Yeah.
and he even said in the Last Dance, he's like, man, I'm not coming back unless Phil is here. He had that respect.
That's right.
Because he knew that Phil had as the coach.
Wow.
And he even, you know, though he was the players say, you know, he was arrogant and cocky at times, he pushed the team around him because that's the type of competitive spirit that he had.
Exactly.
But yeah, being teachable is so important. You know, going back to the verse you shared in the beginning, Ecclesiastes 4:12, though one may be overpowered, two can defend themselves. A cord of 3 strands not quickly broken. It reminded me of that movie Hoosiers, when
Been a
Gene
while since I've seen
Hackman, rest in peace, brother. In that movie, he plays the coach in the movie, and he said something that has always stuck with me when it comes to team. When he was talking to the team, he says, "Team. It's 5 players on the floor functioning as one single unit. No one more important than the other." And he was trying to get them to understand, it's like, listen, no one is more important than the
Yeah.
other here. We're all one single unit.
That's right.
You know what I'm saying? 5 players functioning on the court together as one. And why is that important? Because in ministry, it's all the positions, titles,
Yeah.
pieces working together as one single unit.
Exactly.
Right? And we've talked about this in the Helps Ministry lesson that we did a couple of summers ago, how, you know, someone in Helps Ministry, you know, has the same responsibility as someone who is delivering the word on Sunday morning or Wednesday night type of thing.
Exactly.
So, yeah, being teachable is important when you have, if you're going to be part of a team. You know, team players are teachable.
The next one I talked about was loyalty. Number 2, a team player has to be loyal. This first one, when I said evaluate their past relationship record, we got to take that with some grace, of course. We can't hold something against somebody for the rest of their life either. It could be it could be a mistake that they made, and now they've learned their lesson, and so now they can learn to be loyal. But there are people that have past relationships. They go from one church to another team, to another team, you know, they can never be committed to a team because they just burn their bridges. Do they speak negatively about past work relationships? You know, there's some people that can come to the team and they're still hung up on what happened, you know, at the other church or the other leadership team or just whatever. You know, the question is, can they be loyal, you know? Can they lay aside their personal opinions and support the decision of the team? I don't always agree with everything that we have going on here in the ministry, but when it's a team effort, when it's a team understanding, and it's something that we all said, yeah, well, we believe this is the best thing to go forward, and it's unanimous, and it's, you know, there's nothing unethical, illegal, or immoral about it. It's just maybe not the way I would do things. Then hey, I'm going to support it, you know, and support it with a good attitude, not just be like, okay, well, we'll see how this goes. No. I make every effort to say, okay, I'm going to give it my all, as if it were my idea, to support this, and let's make this work. Are they defenders of the vision, the church, the leadership, concerning gossip?
Yeah.
You know, because I said that to say this: saying nothing is still disloyal.
Yeah.
You know, we got to speak up, man.
Yeah, I think that's the ultimate test right there, what you just said, that 4th point. Are they defenders of the vision? You can always tell people who are really loyal to the team when they do that.
Exactly.
You know, they defend people who are saying, man, they're real negative, and,
Yeah.
and people who are loyal,
Yeah.
they'll defend the vision, be like, well, hold on, the vision, at New Life is,
right.
we're living, walking, and building.
That's right.
And this is what we're about.
That's right.
We defend the vision.
Yeah.
We're loyal to that vision. Period.
Yeah.
Bottom line.
Exactly. Years ago, probably around, I'm going to say 2017, 2018, there was a lot of shifting going on, things like that. And I just had a lot of questions. So, I made the decision to reach out to someone outside the ministry here that I felt was somebody that could lead me down the right direction, that had some experience, some wisdom, spiritual wisdom. And here's the thing, just because, how can I say this? Not everybody's intentions are to hurt you, but not everybody's advice is going to lead you the right way. So you got to really be led by the Holy Spirit and by your standards. And so once you have some standards, this is one of my standards, being loyal. Okay, and I believe God will honor that and lead you through that. So I just shared some information about what was going on in my life at the time. And this pastor, I know he didn't probably mean it to divide, to cause chaos in my life, in pastor's life, in the ministry or whatever. But instead of really hearing me out, really understanding the situation, he just quickly dove into, hey, you need to leave that ministry. You need to leave pastor. You need to just do your own thing. It's time. It's better to obey God rather than man. And I wasn't sharing that I felt God leading me one way, but yet being pulled in another. It wasn't like that. What I was wanting to know is, how can I work better with my pastor and as a leader, and still be loyal, but take some bold steps, and the situations that I'm going. How do I handle what's going on?
Yeah.
I wanted direction, and that's not what I needed to hear. And so, that just showed me that, hey, not everybody is going to have bad intentions, but not everybody's going to give you the right information.
Yes, sir.
So you have to be careful. So I had a decision to make. I thought about it. I prayed about it, and I was like, loyalty has led me this far. I'm going to depend on God's way of being loyal. And if God wants to do something, I believe that God's going to bless me through loyalty to do a great thing in my life and do it the right way.
Amen.
And I stuck to my guns, and I'm glad I did, because as the years went by, man, God showed me that I did the right decision.
Amen. Yes, sir.
Did the right decision.
Absolutely.
So loyalty is important.
Absolutely. Yes, sir.
And then we talked about being committed to the overall vision of the church. People who can't submit will not contribute, of course. And people who do not contribute are selfish and will never fully commit. I mean, one of these days we have to commit to the vision. There's a lot of young leaders, there's a lot of new leaders that, man, they've got a lot of ideas, they've got a lot of things they want to do, but the question is, are they going to commit to the vision? It's all great, the first the first event that you have is going to be great, but then you got a second and a third and a fourth, and the question is, can you stay committed? Because everybody's going to have their ideas, but as a leader working with people, we have to understand that also not everybody's going to be like us. There's times where we make mistakes, and we choose. Sometimes we have the tendency of wanting to choose people that are just like us, and that's the mistake we make sometimes. People are different, and when people are different, they help us become more creative and productive. And we have to learn how to work with everyone, since everybody's different. You know, so and that helps us. That helps us because, it just adds to the team versus everybody being the same people.
Yeah, absolutely. I was just thinking about, I pulled up some team quotes here that really stick out as you're reading off, your manual and some of these points. And one of the ones that really stuck out to me was by Pat Riley. He said, "Great teamwork is the only way we create the breakthroughs that define our careers." And I think, I believe that teamwork does that. When you come together as a team, you break through barriers together.
Exactly.
Right? As a unit, as one single unit, as we talked about, we get through that together. On top of that, one of the things that we always believe and we pray for and that we stand on, that we want to see in the church today, is we want to see revival, right?
Yeah.
We want to see revival. We want to see an awakening happening.
Yeah.
One of the things that I learned in school this year in our Book of Acts class was one of the things, if we looked at the first church, what really caused an awakening was the unity amongst the believers.
Yeah.
There was, obviously they had the Holy Spirit, but because there was unity, revival happened in the first church. There was an awakening so
That's right.
powerful. And so let that be something that, hey, you're praying and you're believing for revival. You're praying and believing for God to do an awakening in your church, in your ministry, in your city. There has to be a teamwork effort in that, not just one single person, And so because with teamwork, you have that breakthrough, So I'm a firm believer in that.
Exactly. You've had the privilege of leading several youth teams. You've had the privilege of leading the creative worship nights, things like that, creating a worship team and, ushers, things like that maybe hadn't stepped up in our regular Sunday morning worship services, but they were able to develop themselves in the creative faith worship teams. And of course, for several years, you had the task of figuring out how to feed everybody on Thanksgiving or holiday meal,
Yes,
which was chaotic sometimes. But man, I really enjoyed this last one. But anyway, so tell me a little bit about leading without demanding, and what's the difference concerning leading? Because I think when we talk about leading, I think people think you got to be the boss. You got to be tough. Those are all great things, There are times where you got to be a leader in certain areas, but we can become a leader without having to demand sometimes, or we can display that demanding through through how we lead, rather than our words and our voice, how we do it, things like that, by challenging them, by encouraging them, by respecting them as they respect us, and leading by how we live and work and how we are. But give me some examples of what's helped you to lead without demanding.
Yeah, so first of all, let me say this. Everybody is a leader, but are you a leader worth following?
That's good.
So some examples. Hitler was a leader. I know it's a wild example to use.
Yeah.
He was a leader, though, but
Yeah.
he definitely was not a leader worth following.
That's right.
Billy Graham was a leader. He's a leader worth following.
That's right.
And we could go on and on and on, right? You all know
right.
someone that is a leader, but are they really a leader worth following? So I believe first leadership starts here,
Good.
With us, making sure we're somebody worth following. But also, too, like you have here, leadership isn't demanding. I agree with that 100%. It's not demanding, it's delegating. It's
go.
believing in the people around you, saying, you know what, you can do this, you can do that. And understanding, like, again, we're one single unit. So, for example, like the holiday meal that we do every year, it is a big responsibility, right? But imagine me going into that with there's no I in team, but there's an M and a me. That means that I would have to make every turkey, all the pans of dressing, all the mashed potato. There's no way.
That's right.
We needed a group of people. I needed a group of people around me, even for the setup to break down. And so I believe wholeheartedly the greatest leaders out there, even looking at Jesus, didn't demand. He delegated to the disciples around him. He wanted to empower them. And so that's really what it is. And so for me, I always looked for opportunities to empower and delegate to the people around me, specifically even now today, even with what we do, the Saturday night service. I'm at the point now to where it's different from youth ministry, because in youth ministry, obviously I had to be here to supervise and make sure everything was okay.
Yeah.
They weren't putting holes in the walls and stuff, but I was always here, right?
Yeah.
Now that these guys are adults, I don't have to be here 24/7.
Exactly.
I delegate and trust them all to do what needs to be done. Even on Saturday nights, I just show up before service. We talk and brainstorm about everything, but I would truly believe that, if you're going to be a leader worth following and a leader that people want to rally around, they have to know that, number one, you are a leader worth following, and number two, that you trust them enough with the task at hand, with the vision at hand, that you're not going to be doing this all on your own. And, because demanding, man, that turns into slowly but surely dictatorship. Like, it's my way or the highway type of thing. And, man, that's how you lose people. People get burnt out. People don't want to do that. People don't want to be around you no more. And so I really think that has a lot to do with it, man. It's seeing that, hey, I believe in you.
Yes.
No matter how young you are or how older you are, I believe that you can get the job done. And so I really think that really has a lot to do with it. For me, that's really what has been my biggest thing. I go back to when a lot of you may not know this, but I worked at the Boys and Girls Club for, I would say 7 to 8 years.
Wow.
And I had the opportunity, for those of you who don't know, I was actually going to college originally I wanted to be a basketball coach. And so I had the opportunity to coach the Boys and Girls Club basketball team. Now, in all honesty, they were horrible in the beginning. I mean, you think about Bad News Bears, the Mighty Ducks, these dudes were worse, all right? Like, I'm dead serious.
Man.
They were not very, very good. And it was kind of the thing, like, you knew you were going to get an instant win when you played the Boys and Girls Club team. Like, 'cause they were that, I mean, you're talking about losing games like 8 to like 40. It was just bad, right? But I honestly saw the potential that they had. I was like, man, these guys aren't that bad.
Yeah.
They just need leadership. They needed coaching, in all honesty. And so I asked, hey, can I coach the team next year? And they're like, yeah. Same group of kids. The next year went undefeated.
Wow.
And we won the championship 58-12.
Whoa.
Same kids.
Whoa.
What was the difference?
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not saying it's all me, but there was a leadership change and someone who coached them and equipped them and took the time to prepare them to use the gifts and talents that they had.
That's good.
That's what leadership is, guys.
That's
it's
good.
coaching, it's equipping, and then it's empowering them around you to go and be successful. Because I love what Mike Krzyzewski said. He said, to me, teamwork is the beauty of our sport. Where you have 5 acting as one, you become selfless. And when you can become selfless, man,
that's good.
In all honesty, possibilities are endless and limitless.
That's good. And you touched on the points that I did on learning to delegate wisely. You know, is stop worrying about being recognized for the success of the team. Just lead towards success. You know, because there's so many leaders that get hung up on making sure, hey, you know who led this. Hey, you know who put this together. Hey, you know who started this. You know, hey, don't worry about that. Just work on the success. Learn to delegate with gifts and abilities and the direction of the Lord. Require excellence from the start, and don't just give delegation to someone just because they're friends of yours or kinfolk or whatever. Learn to look around who God's bringing to the table. One of the things that I appreciate, I told Angela Sunday, I was like, man, I'm so glad that Pastor Kerry is just taking care of things for me on Sunday, because like this last Sunday, we had your wife's grandmother who was getting baptized, and I think I don't remember how old she said she was, but we had to, she had a hard time getting up the stairs. So I helped Pastor Sam Rangel and Brother Robert Basaldua, and I told Pastor, look, I'm going to leave for a little bit. Pastor Kerry's got this. Because I wanted to make sure she got up the stairs, got into the baptistry. It's slippery in there, all this stuff. So my mind was like, I have got to go and help too,
absolutely.
So before I preached, I was making sure, and not only that, but it was good coaching, because Pastor Sam had some questions for me, Robert had some questions, and we were talking, and I was able to teach and say, hey, this is what. And so anyway, it was a good teaching moment, and it was great, and it was good because all I had to worry about was making sure that was taken care of. And then once I knew everything was done and she was going to be able to make it down okay, then I was able to get back just in time to get up there to minister. And it worked great, it worked great. But it takes teamwork.
It takes a teamwork. It takes a teamwork. Okay?
Exactly.
That's just the bottom line. Can I just say one quote, man?
Absolutely.
Henry Ford said this. This is powerful. He said, coming together is a beginning. Keeping together is progress. Working together is success.
That's good.
I like that.
That's real good, man. Pastor Kerry, man, we got through that session, man. We didn't stay for podcasts into it. But we want to talk to you next week about raising the level of excellence and honor in our leadership. And maybe we'll get into, well, I don't know if we'll do the DNA of New Life Ministries, but maybe we can, just to give people an idea, or people that are listening to us that are part of the church, they want to hear this.
And
so
weren't able to come,
Yeah. So anyway, we'll talk about those things in the times to come. But our time is done. Once again, if you want this manual, you can download it, print it, whatever. Just go to our webpage and you'll find it there, and you can get all the information that we've got here written down. Pastor Kerry, God bless, man.
God bless you, sir. Thank you all so much for tuning in tonight. Again, if you want to watch this on video format, you can catch it on our YouTube page, which is MV Lubbock. If you haven't subscribed, subscribe there. Or you can catch it on our Facebook page, Ministerio Nueva Vida. If you haven't liked or followed us on that platform, please do so. If you want to hear this on the audio versions, the audio platforms, any podcast platform out there, which is Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, anywhere there's audio platform for podcasts, just search New Life Podcasts, and that's where you'll find us, okay? One final quote by Pele, the soccer player: "No individual can win a game by himself."
Wow.
As we talk about team building, that's the truth. Remember, we're one single unit building God's kingdom.
That's right.
Let that always be the reminder of what draws us closer together, church. So thank y'all for tuning in, and we'll see y'all next week.
Hey, Pastor Kerry, right before we're off, I just want to share this. Angela was with us last week, and she was like, "Who is that?"
Oh,
and
my
so,
gosh.
As soon as we got
What
home,
in the-
bro,
what?
as soon as I got home, I sat her down on the sofa. I gave her an education. I scolded her, and I said, "Don't you
Oh,
ever
my God.
say that again. That is
Wow.
the GOAT." But anyway, that's it.
God bless y'all.